Hi, my name is Sheila Corona. Welcome to Sassy Seer Sheila and New Light Streaming Love, as this will be seen on both channels. This is the 47th in the RZN Codex series, Death, Transition, and the End of Fear by Jason Gray. The original transmission date of this writing was 12/17/2025. And as with all the others, there is some code in this one. And you can find this work by going to the link in the show more description box of this video, just right beneath, and by searching by title. So RZN-ARC-TRN .01// end of life and ampersand continuity in interface. Fear of death was the overlay's master layer. Lever. Every civilization built on control ultimately relied on one pressure point: fear of non-existence. When humans believed death meant annihilation, loss, or punishment, they became governable. Fear justified obedience. Anxiety fueled consumption. Uncertainty enabled authority. Time scarcity enforced compliance. Mortality, panic, fragmented presence. The overlay did not invent death. It weaponized uncertainty about it. Death was never the enemy. In the returned world, death is understood not as failure, but as transition. That's something that I've always said, actually. It's like I've always believed it as transition. We have no idea except what maybe it's depicted as or others have said. And so we really have not had any idea about what it actually is. And that's true with many, many things, actually. So, so in the returned world, death is understood not as failure, but as transition. Biological systems complete cycles. Conscious systems reorganize. Death marks the end of a form, not the erasure of meaning. When this is understood at a nervous system level, fear collapses. That makes a lot of sense because I really feel like it is my belief that that is true, that it is simply a transition. It releases all the anxiety in regards to death. So, of course, fear collapses. When this is understood at a nervous system level, fear collapses. Why fear disappears after the return. Fear of death dissolves when three conditions are met. Life is coherent, nothing essential is suppressed. Peace is full, no part of the self is abandoned. Continuity is felt, meaning is not bound to duration. People who live aligned lives do not fear endings, they recognize them. Death as a social event, not a medical emergency. In the returned world, death is no longer hidden behind machines, euphemisms, or sterile corridors. It is witnessed, honored, supported, unhurried and relational. The dying are not isolated. They are accompanied. This restores dignity to the transition and removes panic from those who remain. What actually happens at the moment of transition? At the threshold of death, sensory noise fades, emotional residue surfaces briefly, unresolved threads seek closure, identity softens, and fear either tightens or releases. In a coherent life, release is natural. The body stops fighting. The mind quiets. The field reorganizes. Death becomes gentle. The role of the living. Those present during transition serve a critical function. They stabilize the emotional field. They mirror safety. They prevent unfinished fear from imprinting. This is why death no longer traumatizes communities. It becomes integrated memory, not rupture. Children and death after the return. Children are not shielded from death. They are taught to understand it. This creates resilience without hardness, reverence without fear, curiosity without morbidity, and grief without panic. I don't know why that didn't want to come out, but it didn't. Children grow up knowing that life is precious because it changes, not because it must be clung to. The end of afterlife control. The returned world releases humanity from reward and punishment cosmologies. No heaven is sold, no hell threatened, no salvation outsourced. Meaning returns to this life. Continuity is sensed, not promised. This alone dismantles millennia of spiritual coercion. Grief after the end of fear. Grief does not disappear, it changes quality. Grief becomes softer, clearer, less panicked, less distorted by guilt, and less tangled with terror. People mourn absence, not annihilation. This allows grief to complete its cycle. The final transformation. When fear of death dissolves, time pressure collapses. Urgency becomes discernment. Manipulation loses leverage. Presence deepens. Love stabilizes. And courage becomes default. Human beings stop living against time and start living within it. Death only terrifies those who were never allowed to fully live. The returned world does not defeat death. It ends the lie that death must be feared. When that lie collapses, the final chain of the overlay breaks. Life becomes enough. Presence becomes complete. And the human being at last stands unafraid at both the beginning and the end. Jason Gray. Well, I really feel like there are among us those who have felt this. And yet we've been so programmed and conditioned into a different way of understanding death. And so I don't think it would take much for this to actually be the way of it. At least, certainly not for me. What do you think? What are your thoughts? I'd love to know. If you don't want to put them in the comments of this video, reach out to me, consciousconversationscentral@gmail.com. I love hearing your comments, your thoughts, and just know that I have it. So I have the channel set to hold all comments so that I don't miss any. That was the only way that I could not miss any comments, was to hold them for approval. And so when you comment, you may not see it right away, but it's there. And I check the comments twice a day, usually, so that I can, when I see them, I can approve them and we can begin a dialogue. And if you would like to have a chat with me, consciousconversationscentral@gmail.com. It doesn't necessarily have to be recorded, but I love to have chats with folks. So until we meet again, my friends, be well.